It's super easy to get lost in all the economic talk. But what if I told you there's a straightforward lesson that cuts through all the noise? This gem comes from a classic book by Henry Hazlitt called Economics. In one lesson, written way back in 1946, seriously, its core idea is still spot on today, acting like a built-in BS detector for all the economic claims we hear. So, what's this lesson? Hazlitt boiled down economics into one powerful sentence. The art of economics consists in looking not merely at the immediate, but at the longer effects of any act or policy. It consists in tracing the consequences of that policy not merely for one group, but for all groups. In simpler terms, to really get economics, we need to look beyond what's right in front of us and see the unseen. One of Hazlitt's most famous examples is the broken window fallacy. Picture this: a kid throws a rock and breaks a shopkeeper's window. Some folks might say, hey, look on the bright side. Now the shopkeeper has to pay a glazier to fix it, creating a job. That's the obvious effect, right? The glazier gets paid, and money is moving around. But wait, what's the unseen part? The shopkeeper was planning to spend that same money on a new suit from the tailor. Now, because he has to fix the window, he can't buy the suit. So, while the glazier gets a job, the tailor just lost one. No new wealth was created. The community is poorer by one window. The money just shifted from one person to another, from the tailor to the glazier. The broken window didn't help the economy. It just moved activity around while destroying value. This idea of looking for the unseen consequences applies to almost every economic policy we hear about. Take government spending, for example. We often hear that big public works projects, like building a new bridge, create jobs and boost the economy. Sure, we see construction workers getting paid and materials being bought. That's the seen effect. But what's unseen? That money came from taxpayers. For every dollar the government spends on that bridge, it's a dollar taxpayers can't spend elsewhere. That family can't buy a new car. That small business owner can't expand their shop. That entrepreneur can't hire a new employee. So, while the bridge building industry gains jobs, other sectors lose them. The government isn't creating jobs out of thin air. It's just redirecting them from the private sector to the public sector, often less efficiently. Now, let's talk about technology. This one's huge. We constantly hear fears that automation and new machines will wipe out jobs. We see factories installing robots and the workers who get displaced. That's a real cost, no doubt. But what about the unseen benefits? Those machines make factories more efficient, which means the goods they produce become cheaper. When prices for things like clothes, electronics, or food drop, we all have more purchasing power. We can spend that extra cash on other things. This increased spending creates demand in new industries, leading to new and often better jobs. Think about it. A century ago, a ton of people worked in agriculture. The invention of the tractor destroyed millions of those jobs. But did it lead to mass unemployment? Nope. It freed people up to become doctors, engineers, software developers, and even YouTubers, jobs that didn't even exist back then. In the long run, technology doesn't steal jobs. It transforms them, making us all wealthier and more productive. Lastly, let's look at price controls, like rent control. The intention seems good. Make housing more affordable for current tenants. We see the immediate benefit for those whose rent is capped. They save money. But what are the long-term, unseen consequences? Landlords now have less incentive to maintain their buildings or build new ones. If they can't make a decent profit, why invest? Over time, this leads to crumbling buildings and a shortage of new apartments. So, while a few benefit in the short term, everyone else, especially young people and newcomers, faces higher prices and fewer options later on. The policy, meant to help, ends up hurting those it was supposed to serve. So, the key takeaway from economics in one lesson is refreshingly simple, yet incredibly profound. Whenever you hear about a new economic policy or a big government plan, don't just look at the immediate benefits for one group. Always ask, what are the long-term consequences? What are the unseen effects on everyone else? Who's ultimately paying for this? And what are we sacrificing as a society? By training ourselves to see the unseen, we can make smarter decisions, understand the world more clearly, and avoid falling for those easy answers that often lead to bigger problems down the road.